was promoted to CID a decade ago, at least. I used to think he looked so handsome in that uniform. Mother stands in line to pay her respects to Naomi. It will be a brief conversation, as high opinion is in short supply. My best friend, Rachel, is talking to DC Chris Miller, with a red shawl fastened about her shoulders. She refused to wear black. As she rightly pointed out, black is a sign of respect. Both she and Chris held Philip in the same regard. I'd hoped it would be Chris leading the inquest into Philip's death, but they've brought in someone from further afield. Neutral. I'm aware of Ruby behind me, though I am careful not to make eye contact with her. She's wearing a diaphanous frock of fresh bruise purple, the most sombre outfit she owns. It's the first time I've seen her wearing shoes. Usually barefoot, sometimes in flimsy flip-flops, it's anyone's guess whether this is a nod to conformity or she has simply come equipped to dance on Philip's grave. She sits in the back row, as far away from the coffin as she can get, and commensurate with her ex-wife status. The first Mrs. Rochester, the woman that Naomi and I have been measured against, holds an icy white tissue under her nose, a pomander against the contagion of grief. I stand and edge my way past the eye dabbers and the head shakers until I feel the sun on my face and the smell of freshly mown grass. I squint against the sudden glare and a treacherous tear escapes my eye. A stranger touches his cold hand to my elbow in a shared moment of, I know how it feels. But how could he? There are only 3 of us here. Naomi, Ruby and I, who realise how satisfying it feels to know that Philip Rochester got the death he deserved. Chapter 2. 22 days before the funeral. The barn was one of those new old houses, only 1 story but never to be referred to as a bungalow. Large sand-coloured bricks and small dark windows with their frames painted National Trust green show that history has been given the once-over with a bleach wipe. Everything is reclaimed, sourced with the utmost integrity from salvage yards and auction houses, old made to look new, and new made to look old. I'd never set foot inside the barn. It was laughable that barns were de res rather than shacks for animals. Farmers made a fortune selling dilapidated sheds with planning permission, and I could think of no better habitat for Philip and his heifer. I rang the doorbell and waited as the echo of the bell chime ran off down the hallway. I adjusted my armour, handbag across my chest, leather gloves pulled tightly over my wrists, and my scarf wound about my neck like ribbons on a maypole. It wasn't easy for me to see Philip in his new life, in his new house with his new girlfriend, but this wasn't about me. This was about Alistair. We had agreed to be grown up about the whole situation, civil, for the sake of our son. But there was still the small matter of finalising the divorce, and it wasn't bringing out the best in either of us. On paper, we would split everything amicably, down the middle, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. Left to Philip, I would be awarded worse, poorer and sickness, while he got the rest. My solicitor said no one won by going through the courts. I told her where Philip was concerned, I couldn't win anyway. Alistair hadn't suffered when his father left us. In fact, he might have felt life was considerably better. I know I did. Alternate weekends were conducted through clenched teeth and false smiles. Lately, however, Philip wanted more than I was willing to give. More family time with Alistair and a woman who wasn't family. More sleepovers where sleep was never had. The more he wanted to take, the less I wanted to give. With calls going unanswered and solicitors' letters ignored, I'd agreed to have a word with Philip, but standing in front of the barn as day tipped into night, I still hadn't made up my mind which word it would be. I stretched out a gloved finger to press the bell again when I heard a door open, footsteps getting louder. The girlfriend answered the door wearing next to nothing. She was attempting to pass off a sash.